Good afternoon and welcome to today's extraordinary meeting. The first thing that I would like to do is call for apologies. I have apologies from Councillor Johansson and Councillor Scandrett. Would someone like to move that they be accepted? Sarah Templeton, Jamie Goff. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. There were no declarations of interest recorded, and so I now come to the resolution to exclude the public, and I'd like to move that the resolution to exclude the public set out on pages 5 to 6 of the agenda be adopted, and that Nikki Wagner, the Honourable Nikki Wagner, Minister supporting Greater Christchurch Regeneration, Jane Bryden and Mike Shatford from the Minister's Office, and Kelvin Smith, Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, remain after the public have been excluded for item 4 of the public excluded agenda, as she and they have knowledge that is relevant to that item and will assist the Council. Do I have a seconder for the motion? I'll put the motion.
I've got some questions for staff.
Questions for staff? Okay.
Thanks. There's been reports in the past where we have split it into some public and some public excluded, and I know that most of the content of the report in the agenda today is already public information. The only new bits are one of the attachments and the actual staff recommendation, and I was wondering why the majority of the report isn't public, and that we move into PX for discussion on small bits that are not.
You are right. We have in the past made a distinction most frequently when we're dealing with a property transaction, and we deal with the transaction in open and have the financial commercial details in PX. I don't have a view, but I just pick up from the Minister's letter where she did express the wish that the initial discussion be dealt with in PX. And because you have a report in front of you that you will be discussing, it would seem to make sense that the document remains in PX, but that it's released as soon as it possibly can be, once the Minister has completed her negotiations. Cabinet's approved the proposal and it's gone to the Bishop.
So the Minister's letter is attachment A, and I understand that the Minister also has some further information for us that should be dealt with in public excluded, and I can understand that. But the actual rest of the content of the report is already public information, and I'm wondering why that. We can't split that. Is it normal practice for us to keep something in confidence just because someone has asked us to? And does that get us out of our Local Government Act obligations?
The weight that you give to the Minister's request is up to the Council, but I would assume that if that's what the Minister wants us to do, then we should probably do it. In terms of what could be in and what could be out of the report, we haven't done that exercise. I'd also make the point that there's not going to be much of a gap between this meeting and when the information will be able to be released. So I just come back to the point that what's in the report, whilst of and in itself, may not be, may not need to, or maybe have information that is public. The fact that you will be discussing that, I think, in my view anyway, is that you should keep it in PX and just release it at the earliest opportunity.
Glenn?
Thank you. On that basis, Ian, would it be your view that essentially we're dealing with two circles? So us as council, where our default setting should be public, but we're dealing with, you know, the other party which doesn't share the same setting. So it's just how it is. It's kind of central local.
And this situation was quite frequent post-earthquake, when we were getting information from the Crown, and the only way we could get it is if we complied with their obligation of confidence, and that worked. We knew what the rules were. They have different rules to us. I'm not opposed to the openness and transparency, but I think, to be practical, this is the situation that we're dealing with. Let's get on and do it, and release the information as soon as we possibly can.
Question?
Yeah, so under the Local Government Act, when it comes to the principles that the local government is supposed to act under, the prime one is the need to act in an open, transparent and democratically accountable manner. And the Act is clear that if there's a conflict between practicality and efficiency and other principles, that the openness, transparency and democratically accountable one should be the prime one that we look at.
Isn't it the Lagoima legislation that we're talking about? We're not talking about the Local Government Act. This is the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act.
Principles about how we operate.
The Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act is the act that determines whether a matter can be dealt with in a public excluded environment or whether it is required to be dealt with in an open environment.
Yep. But we were just hearing that it's a matter of practicalities and speed for this one.
No, it's not what Ian said. You can't reinterpret what the lawyers told us. So can you advise on the Local Government Official Information and Meetings Act on the basis for excluding the public for this item?
The Act sets out a number of situations where an organisation would be entitled to withhold information from the public, and we are in compliance with one of those provisions, which is that we have and we will be discussing information that's been provided to us on condition of confidence, and we're entitled to rely on that specific provision, and the Crown has asked that we do.
Thank you.
So when we get into the PX section, because this is obviously going to pass, it would be really good if you could point out which bits have been provided in confidence, so I can be sure of that. Yeah.
Yes, the fact that we're going to invite the Minister to remain will be perfectly clear what elements are excluded at this stage. All right, I will put the motion then. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. No. Show of hands. All those in favour say aye. Put their hands up.
This is
to go into PX. And those opposed? That's carried. Yep. So Templeton, Davidson, Buck and Swiggs and Kewen.